This episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast is sponsored by SC Graphics. This company is incredible. They focus on creating, collaborating, and growing with each and every project, including the actual Sensibly Cynical logo. My boy at Seth CGC helps artists, creators, streamers, brands, and businesses with logos, visuals, print production, and special projects. He also provides free 30-minute consultations. Make sure you check out his website, scgraphics.co. Welcome to another episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. My name is Sean, and today we're going to be talking about that TC, as in Tom Cruise. Joining me shortly will be Tyson Saner and Hunter Block of the Anti-Social Show. Tyson has been on the podcast a couple times before. First, we talked about Jackass, then most recently Xbox. I was so, excited to have him on, as well as Hunter Block. This is the debut of Hunter Block on Sensibly Cynical. You will enjoy this one. We're going to talk about Tom's highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, buckle up, because this is a great one. I am joined by the co-hosts of the Anti-Social Show, Hunter Block and Tyson Saner. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? Hey, howdy.
Hunter, this is your Sensibly Cynical debut. You're both sensible and cynical,
Yes. I've been looking forward to this.
Well,
thank you for having me.
If you had to do a retrospective, or I guess introspective, that's probably a better word, right, Tyson? If you had to do an introspective, would you call yourself sensible or cynical, or both?
Both.
So you are sensibly cynical
and introverted at the same time.
Tyson, I think I know your answer to this, right? You're sensible, of course. You're always sensible.
Yeah, I'd say it's even amounts of both of these things, but which do I lean more towards? I don't know. I feel like I'm mostly cynical, but I don't know. I do try to be practical.
Is this your third time on Sensibly Cynical, or are you on the Four Timers Club? I can't remember.
I think this is the third time.
It's like, let me think of the most desperate subject in podcast history. Oh yeah, Tom Cruise. That'll do it.
There's worse things you can talk about besides Tom Cruise.
Let's get into, I guess, TC. Is that his nickname? I looked up nicknames for Tom Cruise, and all I got was TC.
Really?
So
TC, well, that sounds very in the know. the TC movement.
So talk about your history with podcasting, Hunter.
My history of podcasting came about in 2011 when I met Tyson right there, who introduced me to podcasting for the very first time. Actually started me off with, he introduced me to live radio, which was internet radio, which was combat radio, which I absolutely loved. My first, internet radio show that I had heard was with Tyson on it when he was doing Plan 9, talking about Plan 9 around Halloween time. So I'm like, this is something I could get into. And then he introduced me to Succotash, Strange Times, and I started talking to those guys. And then, after a while, I said, I think I could do this too. I had an opportunity to be on a couple of podcasts, and I truly enjoyed it. But now, what I didn't know is that being a guest on a podcast is completely different from actually doing a podcast. So it took me like 6 months to learn actually how to do a podcast. Got up with Tyson and said, hey, man, we should do a podcast. And he was down for it. And when we first launched, the first couple episodes was pretty interesting considering the fact that we had missing episodes. We would freeze a lot. Sometimes we would sit there for like 3 hours while I was trying to get my laptop to kick on so that we could actually do a recording. A couple of times we just said, screw it. It just wasn't meant for that night.
Is Tom Cruise more known for Maverick or Ethan Hunt?
That's a good one. That's a good question. What do you think, Tyson? I'd say currently it's got to be Ethan Hunt, but Maverick's coming back, so.
So is Ethan Hunt. They're actually. What's funny is I looked it up, and Mission Impossible 7 was actually supposed to be out 8 days ago. Was supposed to be its release date before Mr. COVID-19.
Yeah.
I guess it's not Mr., but COVID-19.
Sure. Yeah, don't misgender COVID-19.
Yeah, no.
Right. Now, Tom Cruise is 56, yes, or something thereabouts?
59.
59? Okay, so theoretically, he could still do, like, the Mission Impossible movies, but, like, really, once he passes, like, age 65 or something like that, then he really needs to just pack it in at that point and not try to be, like, Sylvester Stallone, of course.
Well, let's talk about Ethan Hunt. Who wants to be the one that talks about the actual character?
I would say, the Mission Impossible movies. I definitely saw the first two in the theater, but I've seen all of them so far. But I definitely went to the theater for the first two.
Yeah, so Ethan Hunt, he's a operative, right?
He is. Yeah, he's a character that I don't believe existed in the original television show. He's sort of been created for the movie series, and he ended up kind of taking over from Mr. Phelps, John Phelps, the character that
Jim. I think it's Jim Phelps. No.
Jim Phelps. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Phelps. That character that was started by it was Peter Graves on the television show.
Now, I do have a question. Didn't Tom Cruise...
For which one? There's two people on here besides yourself.
Just in general. Didn't Tom Cruise, perform his own stunts in those movies? Those Mission Impossible movies?
I believe so.
My understanding is that he does most of his own stunts.
So how was Jim Phelps killed in the movie?
Do you really want me to spoil how it works out?
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if the movie came out in 96, I mean, usually listen, audience, spoiler alerts. So Tyson, Sean, if you want him to spoil it, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat now.
No, we won't spoil it. But let's talk about how much money he was making off these films. I mean, what I found interesting was that I looked up highest grossing roles of all time. And Mission Impossible 4, he made $75 million.
Oh my God!
Wow!
But then in 6, it went down to $28 million. So what happened? They're that was a little high,
Well, I want, if I can speculate, I want to say if there's 7 Mission Impossible movies, with the 7th being the most current one.
That's what we were talking about. It's actually filming now. It's set. Last release date I got was May 27th of next year.
So because it's part of a franchise, usually when they get to 5, 6, 7 films in a franchise, I mean, usually it's got a dip. You know what I mean? People start to maybe lose interest a little bit because it's come on, guys, you already did 7 of these things. It was kind of if you listen to Friday the 13th franchise, I mean, there's 20, 30 of those movies now, and so that's probably why they're not paying him as much, $75 million. I mean, he's making bank.
And how many times in the movies he almost died, near death experiences,
Well, yeah. I mean, by the way, that was kind of the thing about. I think it's okay if I spoil the opening of Mission Impossible because it's what starts the actual.
I mean, yeah. Let's talk about the beginning.
Yeah. So, because it's really crucial to how the character evolves. It's a big pivotal moment, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. I don't think it's that egregious, is what I mean. So, in the opening of sequence of the first Mission Impossible movie, there's a setup that there's going to be this big, really important, MacGuffin that they're after, and it's Jim Phelps' mission. So he coordinates his team. One of those members of the team is Ethan Hunt, who is a newer character. There's you get the idea and the feeling that these people, some of them have worked together before, some of them haven't. It's, if you watch the TV series, that's one of the things that they're building on is the idea that, these people work in teams. And then apparently, or what appears to happen is that everybody on the team, except for Ethan, gets killed, which, by the way, never happened on the TV show. I don't think they ever lost a team member on the TV show. And then in the first 10, 15 minutes, they're dropping like flies. It might even be 20 minutes. But this is the opening sequence. So that's a huge twist. And now it's Tom Cruise's new character alone in the world. And they're asking what happens if, what do you do next if a mission goes horribly wrong? And if the MacGuffin in this case is extremely important, because they usually are. They're usually something really important. In this case, if you might recall, it's something called a NOC list. And NOC is NOC, which means names of coverts, which means it's a list of all the covert operatives that are in the field and their real names or their real identities, basically. So it'd be like having a list of it'd be like Clark Kent's on this list. What? He's Superman? That's a big problem if he's looking at, you know what I mean? That's the MacGuffin, and that's the thing that gets away, basically, because they're trying to retrieve it in the first mission. It gets out, so now not only is he, alone, but he's got to figure out how to make sure that the shit doesn't continue to hit the fan. So it's a really compelling way to start the story, and, right away it's polarizing. People who are, fans of the television show are like, what?
Yeah.
So they put all the world's problems on this guy, and they're like, yo, there's a list out there. You need to go get it yesterday. And by the way, you have no team members. Good luck. So,
it seems like he's played the same role 100 times.
Well, yeah, it would almost have to be like a new thing. I mean, if Tom Cruise's character wasn't in the TV series, is that right, Tyson?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. I believe Ethan Hunt was an original character.
So now you have this brand new character on a show that everyone loves.
Well, when was not trying to cut you off, but when was the TV show? When did that air? Do you guys know? Let's look that up real quick.
The air date of the first episode of Mission Impossible was September 17th, 1966.
That was enunciated well for the podcast recording. It was good.
I was totally
Tyson said, "Oh, good."
I was totally off. I was going to say at least the 70s, kind of like the A-Team and things like that, because that's usually like the 70s was when they had stuff like a lot of action TV shows, like for example.
I believe the A-Team started in the 80s, though.
Did it? My bad.
That's okay.
So I remember seeing those with my dad, and it was like and then my brothers. It was like a male bonding movie. What rate? When did the first Mission Impossible come out? Mission Impossible.
1996, 30 years after the television show started.
1996. I was first year of high school. I was 16.
Oh man, I'm not trying to make you. I'm not.
I was 22.
In 1996, I was 9. Nice. So I was born in 87. So I'm not trying to make you feel old, but let's talk about. Let's transfer over to Top Gun. I guess let's go back. Let's go back in time. So, Hunter, this is where you come in. What was your first reaction to the Top Gun when you first saw it?
Let's see. I would have to consult my 7-year-old self. You think about 80s movies, and right away everyone goes to Top Gun. I lived it for the jets. What can I tell you?
Let's move on to. You wanted to talk about Minority Report, Tyson?
Well, I did mention that it was one I liked. I mean, he did a couple of movies with Spielberg, at least 2.
Minority Report. What was his role in that movie?
He is one of a group of, and he's also the lead of the people, the characters as well. Not just like the leading man, but he's literally there is a team of basically, I don't know what to call them. They're not exactly thought police, but they are they kind of are. Philip K. Dick dealt with a lot of topics like mind reading and quasi-humans and various things. But anyway, so basically they are people who have access to 3 psychic individuals, this enforcement organization that Tom Cruise works for. They kind of work in concert with each other. So these psychics have visions of people who are about to commit murder, and then the cops go and find the people before they can commit murders and put them in a holding facility. Basically, they put them in jail because they're going to commit murder, but they also prevent them from committing murder. So that's what the film is about. Well, that's what the world setting is, and then what the film is literally about is that there's this contraption that kind of lets them know who their next target to look for is. It's got this kind of elaborate sort of red ball rolling in a glass tube kind of visual going on. It's it's Spielberging and fun, and the very next red ball comes out has got Tom Cruise's character's name on it, and now he has to run.
Was this a movie that did well in the London size?
Well, I can tell you that its box office was $300.4 million against a budget of $102 million. But
see, that's insane.
I don't know how well it did critically.
Are you a Rotten Tomatoes guy, Hunter? Are you a Rotten Tomatoes guy?
Yeah, I look them up every once in a while. They do give a fair review sometimes on movies, and sometimes not so much. But yeah, I mean, there's thousands of places you can go on the internet to look up movie reviews, but that's the one I go to sometimes.
My dad has a rule: he won't watch a movie if it doesn't at least get 60 on it.
That's a pretty hard fasten rule.
It's kind of what we used to use for buying video games. Like,
if it's 59, no bueno. But
he won't watch it. It's like, oh, that movie sucks. But that is crazy though in that movie though, because think about it, like you're just sitting there minding your own business, and then a bunch of like futuristic like time cops like kick your door down and be like, "Yo, you're under what?" Well, you commit murder in like 7 days.
Yes.
You didn't do anything.
It got 90% on the tomato meter.
oh, good.
80% audience score.
I remember watching that movie. I think I've seen parts of it. I don't remember watching the entire thing, but yeah, I've seen clips here and there.
What do you think did better, The Last Samurai or Minority Report?
I'm going to be extremely biased on this. Definitely I love samurai movies, so definitely The Last Samurai for me.
Well, no, but I mean, like Rotten Tomatoes. Do you think it did better than 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, Last Samurai?
I'm going to say no.
No, it did 66%. Well, Last Samurai, I don't think he did too many war films. That was one of the first ones he did.
Yep.
Well, he did do Born on the 4th of July back for Oliver Stone back in 1989. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but did he get Rotten Tomatoes to tell him it was satisfyingly epic? I don't think so, you know?
Well, the thing about The Last Samurai is it's your cup of tea. Because essentially it really is. It's a sad, like, pain. Because here you have this guy, he was in the army, killed a lot of Native Americans, he's an alcoholic, and he has to go to Japan to find himself. And he gets captured. I mean, that's then he becomes friends with the enemy. That's
a lot of old people are in this. It's an old people movie.
Essentially. Cruz himself was, I think, 40's not old, but Cruz himself was 40 years old in that movie.
Yeah.
It's not old.
I'm looking at the cast and crew, and I would do more than 50%. I would classify these people as old.
Well, yeah, there's a few guys in there that are like beyond ancient, but
yeah, Billy Connolly, who was Zebulon Gant.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Is this in Last Samurai you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's talking about. He played the sergeant that was basically friends to Tom Cruise.
Billy Connolly. Am I thinking of the right guy?
Let me look up Billy Connolly. He has a cool.
He's got like Parkinson's or something.
Yeah, he has a cool like goatee type deal. I'm guessing I'm the only one that saw his movie American Made.
American Made. You're probably right.
Such a fucking classic. 2017. I love that movie. It's like the worst best Tom Cruise movie. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Basically, he's a TWA. I loved it. Basically, he's a TWA pilot that you'll be shocked that the CIA gets involved in a Tom Cruise movie. Isn't that shocking?
What? They got involved?
Involved,
Involved.
There was some shit. There's some communism going on in Central America. Not North, of course, Central. And they needed him to do some like CIA shit. Comedic CIA shit.
See, now I'm going to watch this movie based on your recommendations now because...
What? Comedic CIA shit?
Well, no, because I like movies that, people view as the worst movie ever made, but it's still good at the same time. It's like, if a movie could be so bad, it's good.
Well, I mean, it got 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's why I watched it. It was in the 80s,
That's going to be fantastic then.
Or Chucky, even better,
Well, Chucky always has...
Hunter's like, well, it's been fun. Hunter's like, and that's it for my appearance. Take it easy, guys.
Chucky, I didn't find Chucky scary. I thought he was more funny than anything else. But there is a doll out there that beat Chucky, and she definitely is terrifying, and that was Talking Tina from the Twilight Zone series. My name is Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you.
But I'm guessing you guys have seen Jerry Maguire, right?
Yes.
We can't do a Tom Cruise podcast without talking about Jerry Maguire. Hello, I'm looking for my wife.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't mind that movie.
So let me read out some stats about our boy TC. 36 acting awards, 101 nominations. That includes everything, even even the Golden Raspberry for worst actor in one of the movies. But no, so over $4 billion, like in North America alone. What do you guys think the legacy of Tom Cruise is? Just the fact that he does his own shit, like, for the most part?
He does his own shit. He has, the ability to act in a couple of different genres. And, at this point, from the 80s till now, he's definitely an American staple.
Would you call him an icon?
Yeah, I would.
I figure he'll reinvent the Western in about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Well, he debuted in 1981, Endless Love. That's a long-ass career, man.
Right?
Oh, my God, 40 years. That's crazy.
And he hasn't slowed down. So, I mean...
No, he's sped up, if anything.
The problem is, it's like, you guys remember how famous and lovable or likable Mel Gibson was.
Right.
Until we found out, what a psychotic piece of shit he was. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to say that Tom Cruise is that way, but, Tom Cruise has that weird, crazy religion and shit like that.
Like, he did some admirable things, too, by giving back awards due to lack of diversity, which is admirable. This diversity thing is worth it so much to me that I'm willing to give back some of my hard work. Like, he earned those. Well... But then some would say, well, diversity, that's a whole different thing. But the fact that he was willing to give some back, how many big shots can you name willing to give back acting awards for a cause?
I can't name a one.
You know what I mean? Regardless of if you believe in the cause or not, So he does have some. But then there's times where I hear that he's just arrogant. But
yeah,
really, I've never heard that.
Yeah, dirt sheets. But they're gonna hate on everybody,
That is the problem. I mean, you get to a level of where he's at, in the grand scheme of things, and you can't go unclean because you suppose having a bad day or something like that. All of a sudden, the fan that you were talking to because you're having a bad day starts going around saying, "Oh, that guy's an asshole," and now everyone thinks you're an asshole. And then cancel culture comes in and starts canceling your ass out.
So he won the worst actor for The Mummy. That's the movie.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. You guys got any final thoughts?
I'm just glad that they didn't try to reboot the Dracula movie with Tom Cruise as being Dracula, because that would just fucking suck, and I would have to end my life at that point.
Oh, well, not after this. Not after your appearance on Sensibly Cynical. I hope not.
No, definitely not.
I'm thinking they'd get Christoph Waltz.
Yes.
That would be kind of funny. He would be good, actually.
All right, guys. Well, where can we find Antisocial Show? Where can we find that?
You can find that on brigaderadio1.org. Find it on iTunes. You can find it on Stitcher, SoundCloud /Tyson Saner. And what's the latest one, Tyson?
Spotify.
Spotify.
Make sure you search Sounds by Tyson Saner, and then that's what will come up. That's on my SoundCloud page, which is also linked at www.tysonsaner.com. TYSONSANER.
And Hunter, your social media?
You can find me at Zombie Bacterium on Twitter, and also Antisocial Show with the number 1, also on Twitter.
All right. And Tyson?
I'm at RUDT23 on Twitter, Instagram, and Skype. That's where you can find me.
And all your links are found at Sounds by Tyson Saner, right?
Most of them are, and the rest are found at TysonSaner.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I checked out your video game channel. That's pretty cool. There could be worse things to watch on YouTube.
There are, and better things, and also better things.
Well, I mean, yeah. The thing about YouTube is, it's all subjective.
Totally,
very true. But I want before Sean kicks us to fuck off his show. I want your guys' honest opinion. Do you think that TikTok will ultimately dominate and shut YouTube down?
No. I don't think so. I think it's one of those. I think TikTok's one of those things that will be around for a while, but I think TikTok dies before YouTube dies.
Remember 6-second videos?
Vine, yeah, Vine was a good one.
A lot of really talented people actually putting together stuff.
MySpace, that was a good one too. I'm just kidding.
MySpace. MySpace is a ghost town.
No, man, this was great. Tyson, it's always a pleasure. No, not in a literal sense, of course, but a figurative sense.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it a great deal. You're the man, Sean.
Oh, no, I keep saying it every time. I appreciate the friendship and platonically and,
Sure, yeah, of course.
Social media, Ali. Is that a word, social media, Ali? I should make it one.
Social media, Ali? think it's on a way to becoming one. Absolutely.
That could be a good podcast name if Sensibly Cynical ever dies, but this will never die.
100%.
Yeah. Would you consider him, one more question, would you put him in the Mount Rushmore of actors?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of a particular era, certainly.
All time.
Of all time, you know what? I mean,
yes.
if he stays me personally, I think if he stays in the spotlight, relevant, and does what he's doing, what he's been doing for the past 40 years, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Of all time, yes.
Well, I'll tag you guys and all that jazz, and
appreciate it.
y'all have a good night. Thanks for being on here.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. You too. Good night.
Thank you for listening to Sensibly Cynical. Your support means a lot to me. Please check us out on Twitter at Cynical Sensibly, Instagram Sensibly Cynical Pod, and you can check out our Facebook group. Please, everybody, I'm in dire need of reviews. Subscribe, rate, and obviously review us on iTunes. Make sure you hit up my boy on Instagram at SethCGC. There you'll find his link tree with links to his Amazon, Etsy, Teespring, and Redbubble. Coming up next, I will be chatting with Synthador. He is a luchador that plays the synthesizer. Take care, everybody. Bye.